let's talk about this book. So I went cover to cover on this How to Play the Fiddle in 14 Days by Bethany Holmes, and I think that it's time to give you my honest review about this book from the point of view of someone that just started on the violin. I have my notes here, so let's talk about this. Why I bought this book. And my honest answer is that, well, I just want to make a good video. And this is a catchy title. I wanted to restart with my violin journey because I tried years ago, but never really stick to it. So I thought I will make a video about it, I will try, and I saw this on Amazon. It has decent review. Okay, so I tried. Well, the structure of the book, it's really simple. You have a page on how to get your audio file, right at the start, then an introduction on the violin, the various parts of the violin, how to hold it, how to hold the bow, and then you have a part on notation, rhythm, and tabs, because in this case you also have tabs. If you're not familiar on what tabs are, it's something that I saw more on guitar and bass books or material, which basically is this format right here, where you have your standard notation, and then below you have this line, which each line represents a string on the instrument, and then you have a number. Now the difference between guitar tablature and violin tablature is that in guitar tablature, the number that you see represent the frets. So if you have in the third line you have the number 2, it means, wait for me, it means the third string from below and your second frets. In the violin it's a little bit different because the number represents the finger that you want to use. So actually when you saw the number 1 means that you need to use the first finger, and there is another indication on where to put actually the finger. It's a lot simpler than it looks like, but read this part because I thought that the tablature was like a guitar, and it took me a couple of days before actually understand my mistake. Then after this you have a page on how to use the book and the actual content in itself, which is divided in 14 chapters or 14 days. Each chapter, apart from 2, you will have 6 exercises, each covering a different topic. So you have a bowing exercise, a tone exercise, a notes and step, a pitch exercise, a rhythm exercise, and then you wrap everything with a melody. You do this for the first 6 days, and then on the 7th days you have actually the second type of chapter, which is a long piece song. Then you have this piece on day 7 and day 14, and they are kind of how can I say, the way to test what you learn so far. So now let's talk about the pro and the cons on this. Now I'm gonna give you a pro and a con, and at the end I want to give you my honest opinion, and I'm gonna talk about how to really use this book. So if you want to buy this, stick until the end, trust me. Now the first positive, it's absolutely the structure in itself, because you have a definite practice. I really like this thing. You have 5 exercises, each covering a topic, and then the final melody puts everything together in an actual real piece of music, so you feel like, you know, you are getting somewhere. The cons about the structure of this is actually in the introduction, because it's very brief. There are not really a lot of explanation on how to hold the violin and how to hold the bow, which are kinda a critical thing. On another positive note though, you have audio file that goes with the book. These are really critical for some part, because you are going to experience some odd, I'll say, bow technique, then get you in the feel of what is the fiddle. Okay. On the bad side, apart from the fact that the site where you download the audio file is a mess. Trying out some music, please rework on that. It doesn't come with any video, which again will help in the introduction part. It would have been nice to have some video and kinda a day zero on just drills and on how to hold this. For real. Some drills on how to use the bow without necessarily starting to make sound, just to get you in the feel of how to do everything. The next pro stuff is the tablature, because these are really beginner friendly and help you get into the mood of just playing. A lot of people don't know how to read standard notation, including myself. I learned it in middle school, but it's been 15 years. God, I'm old. It's been 15 years, I forgot everything about it. And so the tablature are actually a nice addition to just let you jump into practice. On the flip side, a con are the tablature. I know what I just said. They are a pro, but they're also a con on using tablature, and the main thing is that if you use tablature in the entirety of the book, you are not forced just a little bit account to learn to play with standard notation. And I went from cover to cover with this, beginning to the end, without learning standard notation. Which, I mean, I know that there are pro musicians that don't know how to read standard notation. I know that. But that kind of works on bass and guitar, because you have so much material that is written with standard notation. It doesn't work that well for the fiddle. With the violin, 90% of the material that you can find, even 99% of the material that you can find, be in the book or on the internet, is with standard notation. And this is the best moment to actually learn to read standard notation. And now my babbling about tablature ends, and I need to talk about the progression. The progression here is almost perfect. I start with this with zero idea. But the exercises are really well written, and the progression feels so good because they are challenging. The exercises are challenging, but they are not overly challenging. It's something that you can actually grasp. That's until chapter 12. Chapter 12 is one of the biggest mistakes of this book, honestly, because, like I said, the progression, it is almost perfect, and it is linear. You go on the progression for chapter 1, from day 1, and you go with harder and harder exercise, but as your skill progresses, until you hit day 12. And then it skyrockets, because they present you with double stop, which, if you're not familiar, is a very simple concept where instead of playing one note at a time, you are playing two notes. While it may seem simple, with the violin is actually a very difficult thing, because you need to have a good control on the bow, because you need to angle it right to touch two strings at the same time, and you need to have a good contact and put the right pressure. Otherwise, one will sound good and the other will sound like you are punching a goat. It is a skill that I think it's necessary to learn, probably for the fiddle. I'm not super sure about that. It is probably necessary to learn, but it's not a beginner skill. You need a solid bow technique for that, which after 12 days you don't have. It seems like an afterthought. It seems like they needed to add it after they write the entire thing. Mrs. Bethany Old, after she wrote the entire thing, she decided that he needed to introduce double stop. But it's too difficult. It's seriously too difficult. I will say that the better option would have been to put, in the same way that you have a day, it should have been nice to have a day 0, it should have been nice to have a day 15, a bonus class on just double stop, presenting you the idea of double stop, a simple exercise just to let you understand what they are, that will be better. That will be handling better the double stop right now. Just to let you understand, look, this is a bonus lesson. You shouldn't complete this now. You shouldn't fixate on this, but these are double stop. Remember this because they will be essential later on. So right now, have an idea. In the future, you will need to start studying this. That will be better. But aside from this, the last pro on this is that it gives you a goal. At least this worked for me. I took this as a challenge to complete this book in the times that it needed to be complete. So this actually gives you a goal on not skipping practice. So this is great. The problem with this book though is it sets some unrealistic expectation, mostly in the time that you should spend on each days. Now, this is a book for absolute beginner, but practice 1 hour and a half for an absolute beginner, it is impossible. The first time that I picked the bass, I couldn't play for more than 10 minutes because pressing the string is actually painful at the very beginning. There is this very thin piece of string that continues to want to pull against the tip of your finger, and it hurts. It hurts a lot. After a little while, you need to build your resistance to fatigue, and you need to build some callus on the tip of your finger. Otherwise, it will hurt. And it did hurt with the bass, which has thicker string. With the violin, it hurts a lot. You need to take time, and I think that a beginner will take this thinking that he can learn in 14 days how to play the fiddle, and then after the first day, after 15 minutes, will start to hurt his finger. He will start to understand how hard it is, and the unrealistic expectation meets the reality, and it won't drop. It is a so common feeling that I'm afraid that this book will just fuel. Now, overall, I will say that the experience that I had with this book was overall positive. This book could be much, much better if they change a little bit. The tablature thing, the day 0, day 15, gonna be a nicer idea on this, and which is a waste because I like this book. At the very end, I have a positive experience with this because I started with this book and I managed to finish it, and I feel better. I feel that I became better as a violin. I pick a ton of bad habits, as normal when you play by yourself, but this at least get me started. So I think that this will earn a 7 out of 10, mostly because I love the format. I love the idea of giving you a time frame. I love the idea of the set practice, the piece of music that they challenge you here and there. But let me tell you how I think that you should work with this if you are completely new to the fiddle. Start with YouTube and search for information on how to hold the violin, the hand position of your in this case fretting hand, which it's my left hand. Search information on how to hold the bow, drills to do, and do a couple of 5 minutes before the session where you work on this. Just on drills to have a better feeling with the bow, to get a better sound with the bow. Then don't practice for 1 hour and a half. Practice for small session, I will say, of 10 to 15 minutes if you manage a couple of times a day. Do the drill, do 15 minutes of this with one exercise. Try to reach the BPM that you will find on the top of the exercise. Okay? Try to reach the BPM. Do it for 15 minutes, then stop. If your hand hurts, which if you are a beginner probably, take a pause. Do it if you have a little bit of time, then just take 20 minutes, I will say, of just rest, and then get back and do the 15 minutes. Over time, you should finish this book in a month and a half and practice I would say 4 to 6 days a week, and you will progress on this in a couple of months, and you will actually give yourself the time to improve. Not more than 2 exercises a day, and you should be fine. Now, I think that I babbled for enough time about this book. Like I said, at the very end, I like this one. You can just avoid chapter 12, do the rest of the thing, and you will be fine. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for spending the time with me babbling about a book, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.